So the most common issues that we see here at the IECP with our students relate to plagiarism. And I can talk about that in terms of it being intentional or unintentional. It happens every semester on a small scale or a large scale. Our instructors do use things like Turnitin. I've resorted to having students handwrite some written assignments, thinking that that would prevent them from copy pasting from the internet, but that doesn't always work, because I had a student once who actually hand wrote out something from the internet, and I was able to, of course, as we all probably know, take notice of the student's sudden improvement in English, and I just did a little Google of some of the words and found this article that he just basically copied from. It happens in our writing classes, and I like thinking about it in terms of intentional and unintentional. So intentional, I'm talking about those moments where students feel the pressure and they know that they are copying something that isn't theirs. And then the unintentional is a bit more complicated, because it, I think, falls to us as instructors to be able to prevent those sorts of instances of plagiarism, or a student just doesn't know that they're not properly citing. They don't know that they're not properly paraphrasing or quoting, for example. I want to talk about some of the strategies that I have used and promoted in my program, and they mostly align with the Preempting Plagiarism article that was posted in the Yale Learning and Teaching Center, with the link there. So, of course, having really clear expectations from the start, a clear policy in your syllabus at the beginning, and not only just in the syllabus, but of something verbal in a face-to-face class right up front. So with the online course, having those clear expectations, maybe with an academic integrity quiz, in addition to their signing off on the academic integrity policy. And then it comes down to lesson assignment and rubric design. So a lot of the articles we found in our materials this week talked about how to actually design the assignment. So you have to do drafts. You're checking in with their progress throughout assignment completion. And rubric design, building in paraphrasing, quotation, and summarizing into what they're being assessed on, which is what we do here at the IECP for sure. So that could be done certainly on an online course. And then modeling. As an instructor, you're modeling by the way you talk, by the way you lecture. The Preempting Plagiarism article talks about this. And just, straight out explicit instruction and showing this is a good example of paraphrase, this isn't, and then doing those activities together to try to work through those characteristics of what makes a good paraphrase, what makes a proper quotation, and so on. And then I want to talk about clear disciplinary actions. So not only making those clear disciplinary actions a part of the expectations that you provide at the start, but also making sure you take those actions and that students know that you're serious about them. And we've made examples of students. We make it clear that we follow through on our plans for action. And then consistent reminders. I think a lot of instructors make the mistake of saying it at the beginning of the semester or putting it in the syllabus and then just not talking about it throughout the semester. And then we get into trouble where there's a confrontation or an accusation of plagiarism happening at a final term paper or exam, and we're sort of in a very awkward position where it's clear that instruction in these strategies was not done, so it's a bit awkward to sort those things out. So with regard to the online course, I believe all those strategies from the previous slide we can execute, and I think the way we talk about teacher presence in an online course, that will play a major role in prevention of plagiarism and cheating. Just having that connection, putting a human face to this, making those constant reminders, maybe with a video or a chat or a message of some kind, making yourself available for that help. So then in this slide, I just wanted to talk about actually handling cases. These are 3 things that I've done, sort of the steps that I take. Usually when I detect plagiarism, it's either with Turnitin, but a lot of times it's just me Googling a sentence because I recognize that this student isn't suddenly writing above level. So I usually show my evidence to the student, the online article, or maybe it's another student's paper. And I tell my faculty this. I think it's important to not accuse and say straight up, you did this, you plagiarized, you committed this, crime, but to present it as a problem for you, the instructor. It puts the inconvenience on you. Like, look, I have a problem here, and what the evidence and what the situation is telling me is that there's an issue with where this information came from, and I, as a faculty, cannot possibly give you a grade for this. So I am in a position, it's really a difficult position that I'm in because of these pieces of evidence, and really put the focus on the paper and the evidence and not on the student. Because in my experience, 100% of the time students deny or they have an excuse. I've never had a situation where I've presented evidence of plagiarism and a student has sort of fessed up to it. Never ever does that happen. So at that point, when I know they're not going to admit to anything, we talk about making a plan, whether that be you're going to rewrite this assignment because of my aforementioned reason that I can't possibly give you a grade for this, and that, what else? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Or giving a 0 for the assignment. Any plan of action. You will do a rewrite. You will show me your sources. Making a clear-cut plan. And I believe that all of these can be done in an online course as well. It just might look a little different. And just as a final anecdote, I will never forget this case where I had 2 students submit the same paper, and when I presented the evidence to both of them, the student literally said to me, "Well, this is your fault because you didn't make clear when the assignment was due." And I remember feeling the blood rush to my face, and I'd never felt anger before in front of a student until that moment. Because first of all, it was not true. It was very clear when the assignment was. But so that's just an example of students, in my experience, will not admit to it. They will not cop to it. They will cling to the very, very end, and they will have amazing excuses for why suddenly their paper is just like an article that I found on the internet. So anyway, I look forward to everybody's discussion.